some good news on the $1.9 trillion stimulus package progress, new data on who's received EIDL advances, EIDL loans, and PPP loans, and 3 reasons why filing your taxes early could help you get this third stimulus check sooner. Hey everyone, this is Ryder from Skip. It's Monday, February 15th. I hope you're doing well, you had a great weekend, and your week is off to a great start. A very quick video update on some big news. Not only the stimulus package that Biden and his team is pushing hard this week, we expect some big news here soon. But more importantly, if you are following EIDL advances, loans, or PPP loans, watch until the end because there's fresh data from the SBA on who's received the advances, the loans, what industries, how much money has been given out. Many of the questions are answered in this document here. I'm going to go through quickly. I will also link to this in the description, but this is very helpful, so stay tuned. As always, thank you so much for subscribing and supporting us. Let me start here with a quick app update. A new version is rolling out on both iOS and Android, but one of the things I want to call your attention to is the new grant opportunities. It's on the app. On a daily basis, we identify local and state opportunities. So for example, here I can click and scan California opportunities and see any new federal opportunities. Okay, so I just want to call this out again because we have a few dedicated people working on this, and you can start a free trial to start seeing this. Let me show you one more thing. Of course, you can track your EIDL grant progress here, and you can see how much you might get from the targeted EIDL advance, stimulus check progress, vaccination progress. As a member, you can also get chat support on our app as well. So this is a new feature. If you have questions, you can chat with us right on the app. And finally, through the end of February, if you refer someone to Skip, normally you get $10 in credit when they book a service or a membership. But this month, we are doing payouts in cash. So if you know someone who could use our trackers or information, just tap the Refer and Earn in the app, and you can give 10 and get 10, and again, cash payouts this month. So if you don't want to wait for that $1,400 stimulus check, you can hustle with referrals. Okay, that's enough on the update there, but of course we have a new small business grant and loan roundup for Skip Plus members on the app. First, let me talk about the stimulus news here. Biden and the Fed are not worried about inflation. Okay, we know this. They are pushing for more money. Economists have said this is a good thing. And here's the argument. Administration and Fed officials argue that workers not getting enough stimulus help is a larger concern than potential spikes in consumer prices. And the good news, of course, is that the administration can solely focus, along with Congress, on getting this $1.9 trillion package passed. The impeachment trial has ended. There was the acquittal on Saturday. Democrats in the House plan to spend this week finalizing Biden's plan to pump $1.9 trillion into the economy, including direct checks to the Americans. We've talked about that in many of our videos, so be sure to check out those other videos. Direct checks, more generous unemployment benefits, with the aim of holding a floor vote as early as next week. Then, once it clears the House, the Senate is expected to quickly take up the proposal in the hopes of sending a final bill to Mr. Biden's desk early next month, early March. However, some economists are saying that we should be cautious, including Larry Summers. This is the former Treasury Secretary and top advisor to Clinton and Obama, who says Biden's plans could stir up a whirlwind of rising prices. Even the current Treasury Secretary, Janet Yellen, has spent the bulk of her career fighting in a war against inflation that economists have been waging for more than half a century. But here's the important note that I want to leave you with. But at a time when the American economy remains 10 million jobs short of its pre-pandemic levels, and millions of people face hunger and eviction, she appears to be ready to move on, aka ready to embrace the potential risks of inflation in order to help the American people. What do you think about that? I've heard both sides in the comments here. Some of you think we don't need another $1.9 trillion. Some of you are all for it, and you want, of course, the direct payments. Please leave in the comments. Janet Yellen ended with this: I spent many years studying inflation and worrying about inflation, but we face a huge economic challenge here and tremendous suffering in the country. We've got to address that. That's the biggest risk. Okay, let's set the stimulus package aside for a minute because this is huge news. This is the longest report I've seen the SBA do since these programs started. This is a 23-page report that talks about PPP loans, who's getting them, who's still waiting, EIDL grants, aka advances, and EIDL loans, who's getting them, who's still waiting. So I want to run through this. I'm also going to link to this on the app, link to the app in the description, because this is useful data. You know, when so many of us are looking for hard, cold data, this is very refreshing to see as opposed to anecdotes here or there, how many loans are being approved, how many advances are being approved. This is the real deal. Okay, PPP, the current round of PPP is pacing steadily. What does that mean? Well, you can see the daily count here since the program went live. Of course, you can see January 15th, smaller lenders were allowed to start taking applications. Then the big lenders the next Tuesday. And you can see the loan intake dollars has been averaging around $7 billion a day, and the approved dollar amount is around 6 or 7 billion per day as well. So it's a steady clip. Of course, it's tapering a little bit in the recent days. Now we are around 4 billion approved each day, but here's the cumulative number you can see. So if you're wondering, okay, did the SBA stop? Are they still processing? It's pretty consistent here, a slight downward trend, but this is always to be expected because we know the first 2 weeks of the program are the busiest, then it's steady, and then towards the end of the program, it picks up. And I've talked about this too, the administration is focused on ensuring equitable access of PPP funds, so underrepresented groups. The SBA wants to make sure those folks can get the help they need. The current round of PPP is successfully reaching smaller borrowers with 94% of all loans less than $250K, totaling half of the total loan volume. You can see the diagram here. In terms of demographics, since this is optional, most people do not answer this question, so around 3/4 of people are not giving demographic data, so I'm going to skip this because you really can't draw many conclusions about who's getting the funds. Is there any trend there we should know about? It doesn't appear there is. A couple more slides on the PPP before I talk about the EIDL advances. Let me show you this. The current round has reached all 50 states. Here's the volume by state. So you can see California has around 13% of all total PPP loans, followed by New York, then Texas. Of course, these align with population. And here's a point too, accommodation and food services account for 18% of all lending. Of course, in this round, these businesses can get 3.5 times their monthly payroll, so they can get a little bit more money because they have been the hardest hit industries by and large. PPP forgiveness, 31% of loans have completed the forgiveness process. Okay, let's get to the big stuff. EIDL, here's the latest data. Since April, EIDL has approved almost $200 billion in loans. They've approved 3.7 million loans for that amount, and they've dispersed 3.5 million. So that shows you that around 200,000 folks have not accepted the loans for whatever reasons, but you have the choice. You can apply, and if they offer you something and you don't want it, you don't have to take the loan. Many of you are doing that. You'd rather take the advance, of course. EIDL, 78% of all loans are less than 100,000, totaling 39% of loan volume. And the EIDL, of course, has reached all 50 states. Retail trade accounts for 15% of all lending, followed by other services and construction. Now to end today, let's talk about the advances. Who's gotten the advances? As we know, 20 billion was fully exhausted in the first round, pretty quickly, I might add. There were over 8 million applications for a total amount of 28 billion. Again, this underlines the point that I've made many times now that the new targeted EIDL grant funding, I do not believe will be exhausted, and I think they will open it up for more folks. Based on the money that's left from last round, the people who are still in need, topping up to 10K, I think there is plenty of money in the EIDL pool right now. I'd love to hear too if you have gotten an email yet to apply for a targeted EIDL advance, or if you're still waiting. And over half of the advances were only $1,000. Totaling 15% of volume. So there's two ways of looking at that. On the one hand, it might be good because it's the individuals, the self-employed folks who've gotten many of the advances. The flip side is many of you probably believed you were going to get the full 10K. So that's half of you who are disappointed because you only got 1K instead of 10K. EIDL advances has reached all 50 states. Of course, that's pretty obvious. Retail trade accounts for 13% of all advances. And just take a look at this pie chart here. The $1,000 to $2,000 advances were almost 2/3 of all approved advances. So the majority of people only received 1,000 or 2,000 in advances. All right, so that's the quick data here. Again, this is going to be on the app. I'm going to leave a link in the description. Very helpful if you want to run through and catch up on the latest. To end today, I'm just going to mention this, but you can go to the app to read it. If you want to file your taxes early to help you get a third stimulus check, here's what you should know. If your income dropped in 2020, you should. If you gained a dependent in 2020, you should file, or if you moved in 2020. Again, these are 3 factors that you should keep in mind that will affect your stimulus check amount and may benefit you. So take a look at this post if you're wondering about the third stimulus check, and we will keep you posted here on the progress. As always, thank you so much for watching and supporting us. We hope you have a great rest of your week.